What is up, you guys? Welcome back to North of the Highway 2. Today, I've got something a little bit different for you following our last ice fishing video. Things are warming up a little bit. It was super cold last weekend. January 5th, I filmed that video. It was like -8, I think -20 overnight. Now we're looking at mid-20s tonight, and temperature's kind of stabilizing this weekend, so hopefully we can get back out on the lake this weekend and catch some walleyes for you. However, like I said, I got something a little bit different for you today. I noticed in the last two videos, I never really did give myself a true introduction. My name is Alan Peterson. I'm going to reiterate a couple things I said in the ice fishing video, but again, I grew up north of Highway 2 in Warroad, Minnesota. And I wanted to talk a little bit about like the Highway 2 thing. It's kind of a joke for me. So growing up, I used to encounter a lot of things, well, let me restart again. When I was in college, I used to tell people that I grew up in Warroad, Minnesota, and I would always say, yeah, I'm from northern Minnesota. And they're like, oh yeah, well, like by Brainerd, right? And I'm like, no. That isn't exactly where northern Minnesota is, so I've always felt like it's Highway 2. I'll drop a map in the video here and kind of show you guys where that boundary is. It runs all the way from like through the Dakotas, east all the way kind of like down through Duluth, Grand Forks, North Dakota, Bemidji, Minnesota, over towards Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and then towards Duluth. So, anyways, I'll drop a map of that in the video here. But again, just wanted to give myself a little bit more of an intro and let you guys know who I am. Thanks for watching. Segueing into that, I've got another little different thing for you today. I wanted to give you a little bit of a desk tour. So at my house, I mentioned in the last video that I bought a house in May. So we've been here a little over 8 months, and it's been just a joy, and it's been a lot of fun having a home to kind of do things with and make your own, So today I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of a desk tour, and reason being is I mentioned that one of the main reasons or pillars why I started this channel was I wanted to show people kind of the things that I'm interested in and some of the things that I do growing up north of Highway 2. Everyone thinks there's nothing to do up here, and man, I'm a hobby person. I think that there's so much to take advantage of, and it's early January. It's cold, so the outside activities are limited a little bit more to the weather, but man, there's still all kinds of stuff to occupy your time up here, and I just love it. I think it makes things simple. You can focus on specific hobbies. Like I love to fish, and I'll give you a little bit of background on some of the things that I like to do in the wintertime around fishing. So yeah, let's go over to the desk. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to start up in this section up here. So one of the things that I absolutely love to do is chase waterfowl. And this section right here kind of encapsulates, waterfowl, and then not only waterfowl, but I got a picture of my dad up here and we're rough grouse hunting. So some things I really like to do in the fall, and back to the waterfowl, you're going to see I've got a lot of duck calls here. These are all duck calls. I've got a couple goose calls, a grounds, and a couple death row calls. And this is a double reed that one of my friends made for me, homemade. Turkey calls, some reeds, elk calls. This is just kind of an area that it represents something that I love, and that's calls. So what you're looking at here is these are all, except for this one right here, these are all cut down style acrylic duck calls, and they become really popular here the last, oh gosh, I don't know when the R&T Mondo came out, which is this one here, but I suppose 10 years ago now. They're real popular down south. There used to be old injection keyhole, like hard rubber injection molded calls. Those became really popular in the south. There was a brand called the PS Ult, and guys would modify those and put different types of cuts on them and do all kinds of weird things to make them sound the way that they wanted to in the flooded timber of South Arkansas and South Louisiana. So anyways, love waterfowl hunting. Wanted to give you a little snapshot of my duck calls. So moving off the duck calls and my beautiful duck painting up here, I wanted to talk next about, I got a few things over here. So Minnesota, big Vikings fan, of course. Skull Vikes. I hope they do well in the playoffs here this weekend. And then next, I got a few other things here. You're gonna see these. These are fly fishing reels. So at one point in my life, I worked and lived up in Alaska, and I was lucky enough to land a job working for a gentleman who owns a brokerage company. He had a fly fishing company as well, where he was taking people out off of cruise boats, and he was also booking trips for other large lodges up there. So I was one of his guides. I was a fly fisherman. I learned how to fly fish in Duluth, Minnesota, where I went to college. Thanks Ken and Lauren, they're two of my best friends. They taught me how to fly fish, and it's something that I've really enjoyed over the last, I suppose it's been 10 years about since I met Ken. So over the last 10 years, it's been something that's been a big part of my life and something I've really enjoyed. And so segueing off the fly fishing, here we've got some different fly tying materials. So I've got hooks and all kinds of different stuff in here, and thread types, and I've got dumbbell eyes and beads, and let's see if I can get this open with one hand. Yeah, you can see there I got dumbbell eyes, a little better light, different beads. We got UV resin, a few other little things. So one thing that I love to do is tie flies, and I've got a really nice little fly tying setup right here. I also use this for tying spinners. So either way, making hooks to catch fish is something that I think is so fun. It creates just a completely different dynamic when you're fishing, and there's something real cool about tying up a fly and fooling a fish in a big lake. Like I like tying pike flies. I got a couple right here. Spear and decoy. Shout out Mitch Roberts. My friend Mitch Roberts owns a company that makes these. These light up, actually. LED. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. LED spear and decoys, if anyone is interested. Company is called IC Outdoors. Really cool product. This thing is, it's entirely made out of, Mitch, you're gonna have to help me with the material, but it's not UHMW, it's a molded plastic of some type. But anyways, this tail, if it ever gets out of tune, the tails and fins, you can reheat this and you can retune it, which I think is really, really cool. Next up, we got a couple other little things here. I've got a camera. Spent a lot of time behind a camera when I was in Alaska. Absolutely love spending time behind the camera, and that's another cool thing about starting this YouTube channel is an opportunity for me to be in front of the camera a little bit more too, and not practice public speaking, but just build my confidence a little bit in interacting with people, and just build a little bit better communication skills and a different kind of communication skills. So yeah, there we got a camera. I've got a target back here. I was lucky enough, I had a 7 PRC Browning X-Bolt 2 this year. Thing is just dialed. This is a one shot at 300 yards. I'm shooting Federal 170 grain terminal ascents out of there. Thing is just fantastic. Low recoil. I did get the model with the 24-inch barrel, so it's got a little bit, no, 22-inch barrel, excuse me. So it's got a little bit longer barrel for a 7 PRC, but man, that thing just, it flat out shoots. Into the wild below here, this is part of Benchmade Knives water collection. I got this as a gift, and I love knives. I think knives are so cool. Alan Peterson, happy birthday. My mom got me that as a birthday gift this year, and very grateful for that. And this Benchmade knife was actually a birthday gift 2 years ago from my girlfriend Mandy, and I carry this one every single day. This is the mini bug out in the sand green. Love that color. Love the knife. It's super light. It stayed sharp for a long time. It's been a great everyday carry knife for me. Next, speaking of Mandy, there's me and my girlfriend Mandy golfing at couples night in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. One thing about Mandy and I, we used to live in Fargo, North Dakota. And one thing that I do miss about being in Fargo is all the different golf courses around there. They're so fun. And in the summertime, you're a little closer to Lakes Country, Minnesota, but we've got Lake of the Woods up here in Warroad. It's all good. It's all fun. But I do miss the couples league golf night stuff. Here we've got green fees. Mandy and I put spare cash in there. It's a pretty cool little idea that she gave. And then what else I got over here? I got a couple little cooking books. These are the Meat Eater cookbooks. This is the new one from Steve Ranella and his team at the Meat Eater, the outdoor cookbook, where all the recipes are really about cooking outside. So it's grill, smoker. I believe he says campfire. Oh yeah, it's right here. We got grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire. So everything that you can cook outside. And then I've got Extreme Ownership from Jocko Willink. The guy keeps me motivated. Reminds me how good life is. And If you guys don't know Jocko Willink, just YouTube good. Last over here, but not least, couple really cool little pictures. I got these as gifts. These are, well, number one, William David Koontz, one of the originators of the fly. So not so much the actual technique, the rod and the reel like this, but he's the actual one who come up with kind of what it was you were trying to cast. And this actually happened before. You can see August 13th, 1968, before the fly, reel, and rod. August 19th, 1976. So I thought that was really cool. These are the original patents for the two things. I got these as gifts again. Really neat little add-ons to my fly fishing section over here, and a couple old school Rapalas and a fly that I tied here, a bucktail with a little bit of saddle hackle and some flash, as well as a switch rod. If you guys don't know what a switch rod is, do a little YouTubing, spay casting. Maybe I'll drop a video in the link below. Yeti has posted a couple really good YouTube videos on spay casting. And yeah, it's a really fun way to fish salmon, really fun way to fish trout in streams. And yeah, it's probably my favorite way to fly fish, honestly. So, well, that kind of completes my desk tour, you guys, and a little bit more background on me. What I'm thinking I'm going to do next is, I'm not sure if I'm going to clip it in this video or if I'm going to clip it in the next one. I'd really like to show you guys how I tie another fly. I do have a fly tying video on the YouTube channel, but it's just a real basic one, quick one that I like to use when I'm fishing in warm water lakes. Or I might do a spinner tying video. So I'm really into tying spinners. We pull a lot of crawler harnesses on Lake of the Woods in the early summer. Late fall, chasing walleyes up in sand bays, and I think it's fun. Again, just think it adds another element when you can tie your own tackle. So I picked up over Christmas, of course, Scheels gift card. Picked up all kinds of stuff, different blades, some hardware to tie some spinners. So stay tuned. I'll let you know if I'm going to tie a fly or a spinner. So, spinners. We're going to be talking about the classic Minnesota, Wisconsin, any type of river system in the upper Midwest crawler harness. So, first step. Get yourself about, I don't know, about a 40-inch chunk of anywhere between 8 to 12 pound fluorocarbon. Personally, I like 12 pound. I spend a lot of time on Lake of the Woods horsing in like 16 inchers because sometimes the fishing is that fast, you don't have a choice. But I like 12 pound. It just gives me a little bit more confidence. If I get a big fish, I can give it a little more steam on a medium heavy rod, or a medium if I want to tighten the drag down a little bit. But I like 12 pound. So to begin, number 2 or number 4 Gamakatsu octopus hook. So there's a few different options here. A lot of people like the classic nickel. I tie a lot in classic nickel, but today I'm tying in red. However, the Gamakatsu makes a lot of different colors of this octopus style hook. I'm going to be tying a chartreuse spinner today. They make a chartreuse hook. I think it turns out fantastic if you decide to tie a spinner with a chartreuse hook that has a chartreuse blade. However, step number 1, snell knot. So we're going to stick the line to the top of the eye. I always do it a little bit long. I give myself lots of extra room with this chunk of line I cut here. I'll kind of show you guys how I measure everything. But number 1, snell over the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on the 9th wrap, I stop it. I pinch it. I get all the way to the end of the tag end here. And I stick that back up through the bottom of this octopus hook here. Alright, and I tighten that down. The beauty about the snell knot is no matter how tight this line gets pulled, it just kind of keeps tightening on itself. That's kind of the charm of the rigor behind the snell knot. Let me get a little better picture of that for you guys. Okay, step number 2. Now, a lot of guys like to do a number 4 in the back and number 2 in the front. I've had success doing all number 2s, all number 4s, 4 in the front, 2 in the back. I've kind of had success doing it all. So what I've decided to do, especially for Lake of the Woods, because we're catching, you know, good size, aggressive walleyes, I like a number 2. I think that a number 2 is kind of the perfect size for an aggressive walleye anywhere in the upper Midwest. Okay, now how I measured the distance here, everyone sees this Loon Outdoors patch. I go from eye to eye, the edge of that little box there. And I'm going to go get a tape measurement and get the measurement for you guys, all right? There we go. So eye to eye, and then again, the snell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 9th wrap, pause, get to the tag end here. Oop, back up through the bottom. Okay, make sure everything's nice and snug and straight. Now we're left with this. I would take a second here and make sure that your hooks lay pretty straight. When you lay them down in your hand, they don't have to be perfect by any means, but they should both be laying on the same side anyways. Okay, again, the distance is about this loon symbol here. Let me go get myself a tape measure. I will be right back. Okay. And the size of that square is about 3 inches. Okay, anyone that's looking for the eye-to-eye hook spread, it's about 3 inches. All right. Next. Okay, you're left with a beautiful little set of hooks here. The first thing I like to do is, I don't like to leave any part like really unfinished. I don't like to go back and do a whole bunch of cleanup. So I'll go to this first hook I tied and kind of clean up the tag end. Just grab really good sharp scissors. I go about halfway up the hook shank from the bend. Here's the edge of the bend. Hook shank, eye, about halfway up. Grab that. Make sure you catch that extra. And there you go. You got a really, really nice clean 2-hook snell there. Okay, next. The fun part. The beads. So, I mentioned earlier, we're tying a chartreuse spinner. Here's our spinner blade. Chartreuse. A little bit of sparkle in there. You can see my little assortment of beads here. I know it's a little long ways away from the camera, but we got green and pearl white. So, what I like to do is I like to put enough beads on there, and these are 3mm beads, so that your spinner blade is about halfway up the top hook shank. And I'll show you guys exactly what I mean here. So I alternate colors. I did a white. Now we're doing a green. Okay. Another white. That's 3. One more green. Alright, so after 4 beads, let me get this in the camera here. Your setup looks like this. Okay? Now, in my experience, with an Indiana blade and 3mm beads, about 4 beads is perfect. With the clevis that I use, to get myself to the middle of those beads, in the middle of that hook shank so that I don't have any interference. There's my clevis. Get that in focus. So I don't have any interference with my bait or the end of my hook eye with the spinner blade. So, this is kind of tricky. But what I do, grab my blade. I got my clevis here. And I slide the blade on the clevis. It's kind of tough to see because this clevis is very small. But you end up with this situation right here. Remember, which direction you're going, always go through the bottom when you're putting on anything on these spinners. I always tie from the bottom to the top. So go from the bottom of the clevis, which is the back side of the spinner, the concave section of the spinner blade. Got it through the bottom, up through the top. All right. Okay. Now here's kind of that magic I was talking about where exactly the spinner blade lies. So I've got 4 beads here, and I've got a spinner blade. And what you want to be very, very careful of is where the end of this spinner blade comes in reference to the end of this hook point. If this hangs, this spinner blade hangs and it's touching this hook point, there's an opportunity when it spins that it interferes with this and it spins kind of oblong. So I like to make sure that it clears the end of that hook point. Just like that. That's kind of what you're looking for. All right, so based on the color pattern here, I did a white, green, white, green. I mean, this next part's totally up to you. You can finish it with a white bead or a green bead. In this case, I'm going to finish it up with a white bead. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because we're alternating colors, but I'm going to do a white bead. All right. Last white bead. And there you have it. Lake of the Woods, northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, upper Midwest, river system, crawler harness. Love it. Last step. We are going to tie on the classic barrel swivel. Now, this, I like nickel. What do I got here? I've got 3 brass. I like a nickel barrel swivel. I don't know why. It just seems like it's a little bit cleaner. But we're tying with a brass. This is a number... Oh, I think this is a size 1 barrel swivel. But I like to end this up with a barrel swivel. Here's why. When you're putting these crawler harnesses on, typically you have a swivel. Just a snap swivel that snaps into one end of this. That's kind of what connects you to this spinner. Above that snap swivel, you have some sort of weight. So I don't like to tie directly to a swivel and then tie that swivel directly to the line, because I like a little bit more buffer between my weight and where the spinner connection is. It just seems like it makes the spinner dip and swim a little bit better. So, and also stay high. A lot of people, they get snagged with spinners because they don't get enough angle or enough sway in the spinner blade, and they don't move fast enough. So that causes that spinner to sag as you're moving through the water, and you get snagged on the bottom and hook trees and all kinds of different stuff. So I finish my barrel swivels with just the classic fisherman's knot. Again, 12 pounds, so minimum 8 twists. I got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9er for good measure, and for Chris Farley. Down through the bottom. All right. Little moisture. Not perfectly executed, but tighten her down. All right. Ends up like that. A little extra moisture, make sure it's tight. Clip off your tag end. There you have it. Lake of the Woods crawler harness. And now I've tied enough of these things. I like them to be gosh, this isn't a great measurement, but like an arm's length and a half. I'm 5 foot, about 10, not quite 10 on a good day. But I like them to be about an arm's length and a half. So I'd say that's about 3.5 feet, 40 inches. I like about a 40-inch snell. A lot of people would say that's too long. Now, remember, there's no floats on this thing. There's nothing that keeps this thing up above the bottom. That's kind of why I like speed. Number one, I like trolling crawler harnesses. Not trolling, but just moving for sure at 1.2 miles an hour. And that's another reason I like the barrel swivel. So a lot of people like a snap swivel. again, snap swivels are just fine. With a loop, you know, a lot of people will tie a loop on the end of this line here and then put a snap swivel and just put that right on there, but there just isn't quite enough buffer. I know I'm doing a snap to a swivel, it's essentially the same thing, but there's more distance here in a snap swivel versus if it's just a barrel swivel. So yeah, that's my spinner setup. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. It's been fun giving you a little bit of a tour of my desk. Showing you a few of the things that I enjoy doing in northern Minnesota, and giving you a little tutorial of how I tie my crawler harnesses. So thank you guys very much. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time.